Welcome back to another video everyone, wherever you are. So I am in a very windy, very cold, but dark and moody Scotland. Now, apparently in Scotland there's no such thing as bad weather. There's just the wrong clothing. And we'll be sure to test that one out over the next few days. I'm actually in Scotland for a couple of weeks to do some videography for promotional material for my very talented daughter and the release of her new single. There's some links in the description below. And I've arrived just after a recent snow dump in Scotland, and I'm sandwiched in between the snow dump and incoming storms, hot off the Atlantic from the west. We're travelling up the west coast amongst some beautiful scenery here, and there's something quite unique about the Scottish scenery and the beautiful subdued colour palette that we have here, particularly in winter. This is actually a really good time to visit Scotland, as we're not relying at all on sunshine, but just relying on the mood and the drama which is all around us at this time of the year in this part of the world. Our plan is to head to Skye to take refuge there for a couple of days, waiting for the first part of the storm to pass. Using this place then as a stepping stone, waiting for sufficient space and time to allow us to travel onwards to the Outer Hebrides.
Express said it was urging customers not to travel to Scotland. CalMac, all its ferry services cancelled. Northlink said ferry services were likely to be cancelled or delayed. A number of bridges have speed restrictions, including the Forth Road Bridge, and issues across the airports this morning, with lots of flights cancelled or delayed to and from Glasgow and Edinburgh airports.
We are in Harris, and we're actually stuck in Harris. And we're stuck in Harris today because the boats have been cancelled, and the boats have been cancelled because the wind's too strong and the weather's too bad. Today the weather is 90 km/h winds and minus 11 degrees Celsius wind chill. I don't know if you can see the car shaking from the back here, standing in the wind or not. But my first impression of this place, where we're at, is the Isle of Harris. And Harris and Lewis are on the Western Isles, the Outer Hebrides of the Western Isles of Scotland, and consequently get affected by the weather fronts quite badly as we have today. First impression to this place is that the landscape is really dominant, it's really strong, and if these mountains could talk, the stories they would tell would be incredible. But in amongst all this dominance here, we've got some real delicate moments, and it's the delicate moments which have there's some real strength to delicacy here. And it's the delicate moments that I actually want to photograph, but it's not going to be today. The weather is just too bad and the wind is too strong. I wouldn't be able to hold cameras still and stuff, so tomorrow, however, is another day.
Welcome to your latest update for Scotland from the Met Office. Some very strong gusts of wind likely. Then those very strong winds slowly transfer north, so it gets very blustery over the Northern Isles. Okay, so we do have warnings in place. In gusts of 70, 80, in exposed places maybe 90 miles an hour.
So I am on a really quite exposed part of this coastline here, so it's mighty cold this morning. I'm just going to punch in here, and I'm punching in at 85 millimeters. So I'm just going to take this up to there and lock this all on. Focus was already set to just inside infinity before. So if I take this, and that's a single shot, I'll try and diminish these clouds with a longer exposure. So if I come up to 30 seconds at f11, we do have a really ugly cloud off to the left here. Wind's going this way. I'll see how it looks. I'm taking the shot now. But I don't think I'll stay here for very long because this is really cold. I need to get back down to sea level almost to get out of this wind because I am exposed. I'm probably about 50 metres above sea level here. Now I think it's really important that I explain how I'm seeing these landscapes here as being probably fine art. The landmass is very low lying and it's very light in tone. The delicate colour that you can see here, and even the bigger landscapes off to the back, are very light in tone, and if we put this on a black and white spectrum from white to black, this would certainly occupy the upper end. I want to try and celebrate negative space by use of longer exposure here, and what that's going to do is it's going to minimise the noise that's in the sea and allow us to fringe the coastline with that white wash as well to add some visual interest. And then if we can think of the 30 seconds or longer exposures that we apply here, we're going to minimise the sea and the sky even more, allowing us to celebrate the stuff that's left behind. Now all of the beaches in Harris have some mighty funny names. The only one that's really well known is Luskintyre. I'll put the name of this beach here on screen just now. And one of the things I wanted to show you here was that this jutting out in the middle of the frame, and just to the left here at a different level we've got this landmass softer, and then the hills in the background are all quite light and again quite pastely, complemented by the colour of that sea. I'll maybe wait for 5-10 minutes. If these clouds kind of change shape or lose their power, I will maybe take this. Now I don't want this to be a tutorial on how I post-process my images. I'll do that in a completely different video. But what we've ended up with here is 1, 2, 3, 4 horizontal frames to make up a 4-shot horizontal frame pano. And when I do this, and the way that I do it with the Pentax 645Z, is I end up with a format that's just over 3:1. Now a 3:1 format's a really nice format for a panorama, particularly if you're going to print them big and hang them on a wall. Now the only thing I need to do with this frame right off the bat is just straighten the horizon, because remember, I don't shoot wide and crop in. I try and compose in camera, only then requiring some minor modifications to the horizon should it require it. If we have a look over here to the right hand adjustments panel, there are no adjustments to this file, which confirms that this is the raw file and unadjusted. And I think it's actually really, really nice. But it falls short on my vision for these shots that I want to take in Harris, being fine art, high key, minimalist. So to try and achieve that, I've had to go into my develop module and add 14 filters. And these 14 filters attack this photograph in many different ways. And collectively, through the application of these 14 filters, then I can end up with an image close to how I envisaged it before I shot the shot. Taking these off, it's actually really nice, but if we go into how we apply these filters, this is what we end up with. And I think this is really, really stunning. If I look at applying these filters again, and look at the adjustments that I've done on this file, I've done some adjustments to the curves layer here, but also in the HSL panel. So the HSL panel, in conjunction with the layers and these filters on screen, we end up with our final image. And the only thing for me to do is to take this into Photoshop, apply several layers, to look at Orton effect, Gaussian blur, high pass filter, brightness and contrast, and I'll also add a tilt shift filter here at the bottom to soften that bottom edge of the frame. And lastly, I'll add a white canvas around my photographs as you see me do with my stuff, just to say that the image is done, and we end up with this. So this here is the real gentility here, and looking at the colour palette, these lovely soft browns are here because we're in winter, and we've got some layering at the back there which kind of fades away into the sky, and then on the other side we've got some greens on the right hand side of that beach, but again with the brown muted colours. And what it is with this, it's actually the whole thing that makes this quite lovely, and we don't want to introduce foreground into this because the simplicity of this is the thing that makes this really neat. So what I'll maybe do is I'll try and take some kind of photograph either of the centre part just in here with the two different layers with the beach in the middle and layering in the background, or maybe even try and do a whole panel bringing in some of the sky. The sky today, you can see, is quite minimalist and quite muted as well. Some light grey clouds, nothing heavy in the sky, no sunshine breaking through, and it's this very thing here that's actually giving us some of the palette that we're looking at, that delicate palette. And it's that delicate palette that, if we couple that up with the colour of the sea, everything's just within a light luminescence type colour palette. It's really lovely. So today is a different day. The temperature is no longer -11 wind chill, it's about 5 degrees. And the wind has subsided away from 90 kilometres an hour to about 40. The wind's finally dissipated this morning to the level that we can shoot in, but I think the weather system's coming back in and the boat has been brought forward, so I don't have a long time to photograph this place. I'm down in Luskintyre. Luskintyre Beach is just over here, but it's important for me to enjoy the location and not just rush to the very obvious spot. Behind me here, you'll see that lovely aqua water. The sun's trying to come out, which is diminishing the colour a little bit, so I'm going to have a poke along this road and see what I can see. But I don't, as I said, just want to rush to the very obvious spots because I want to celebrate the real pastel colours and tones that you can see here. There's not much depth here other than just on the headland and the black rocks in the sea here. Everything else is very muted, and I want to try and bring that up in whatever I can shoot in the next 45 minutes to an hour, because that's all the time we've got. But we'll see what we can see along this road. I've actually brought the big camera out and I'm going to just grab a quick photograph of this with these colours but with the grounding of the black rocks, and I think from here on in I'll try and eliminate the black point in the photographs and try and stay away from it. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to create some negative space and celebrate that, which will allow the colour to shine through, because I don't want distractions from everything else that's going on in the frame here. So by reducing all the distractions and creating negative space allows me to focus on the stuff that's left behind, which is really cool. The sun's actually helping a little bit as well because it's lighting up the right hand side of frame. Now this is Luskintyre Beach, and It was always the intention of coming down here today to do some videography and take some photographs as well, but time is actually conspiring against me today with the boat being brought forward. I don't have a lot of time here today, I'm afraid. You can see the sun's coming out behind me, and it's higher contrast, some higher micro contrast, and the dynamic range is higher. It was my intention to shoot this in a kind of low contrast, kind of high key artistic way, the same way as I had done other shots, but that's not possible, unfortunately. You can see here too, the sea has brought in a whole lot of seaweed onto Luskintyre's famous clean sand, and so I can't even shoot the clean sand today because, well, you can see it's covered in seaweed. This tide is actually coming in, and we're probably a high tide too early, and that this incoming tide will actually clean the beach to the left, which is just out of shot, so we're being pinned in here. So we don't even have a lot of space here that I can operate in today, and it's kind of having to change the way that, it's forcing me to change the way that I see this place. Now, the island of Harris is both one of the best places in Scotland, but the British Isles to photograph. And globally, well, this place is actually world class. And a place that I'll most certainly be back to. There's something quite ethereal going on here with the colour palette, the tonality, the gentle motion of the water in this bay here. There's something unspoken going on behind the scenes here. And I kind of get the sense that Harris has just endured the last storm, and now that it's passed, well, it's business as normal, for a little while at least. The tonality and the colour palette here is simply sublime. It's just remarkable. And before I left Auckland, I spoke with a chap called Steve Meyer, who shoots, exhibits and prints his work in intentional camera movement. And he showed me a book called Ethereal by Mark Cormack. And Mark Cormack deals in intentional camera movements shot in the Western Isles of Scotland. So I was keen to try this and have no other option today but to use this as my last resort in such a wonderful place. But I'm doing this with my head up and my eyes up, so as not to miss whatever it is that's going on behind the scenes here, in terms of how remarkable this place actually is. We sadly have to catch the boat, so we've got a 20-minute drive to get back to the port. And being an islander myself, I've formed a real special bond with this place. And only intending to be here for one day, we've been here for 4 on account of the weather. And you might look at that as being a disappointment, but it's actually made the trip. And I'm going to miss this place, despite having only been here for a few days. And as we head back to the mainland of Scotland to try and catch up with our itinerary, there are parts of Scotland here that I haven't seen before. We've got North and South Uist here on the right and left, respectively, in front of what's a beautiful sunset as we race against the storm coming back in from the west. For me, this has been much more than just a photo trip. This has been a trip with my daughter. And so we're here to take photographs, but we're here also to make memories. And memories last a lifetime. Thanks for watching everyone, wherever you are, and until next time, you take care, have fun, keep shooting. Join me on a workshop. Until then, we'll see you soon. Cheerio.